one platform for data analytics and data engineering needs. The main essence of Microsoft Fabric is far beyond that. The data and compute and the service, all three were separated. Fabric creates as experience to use all those services directly. Always the basement will not be visible, but only the
Mhm.
building will be. So A is the building, basement is Fabric.
So, welcome everyone for another episode of Azure Honor. So, today in the podcast, we have Dinesh Kumar. So, Dinesh Kumar is a product manager at Kissflow. He has over 10 years of experience in data and cloud analytics. He's a Microsoft MVP since 2021. So, since Dinesh has plenty of experience in data and cloud analytics, today we will be discussing the topic Microsoft Fabric with him. So, hi Dinesh.
Hi Hari.
So yeah, so Dinesh, when I just was going through your LinkedIn profile, you were, actively participating in community activities as well, right? So can you just talk about those initiatives that you have done so far?
Sure. As Hari told, I'm a Microsoft MVP for the data platform category, and I'm one among such MVPs, such six MVPs in India. I'm passionate towards data, so that's the core thing. So and especially towards data engineering. When I started to learn and share the knowledge with respect to data engineering, with respect to the services related to that, so that created an immense pleasure within me, and also the audience also felt that very useful, the way I explained, the examples I take and all those things. So and then I was introduced to the world of this community events and all those things. So I started to do a lot of events, as in-person events, workshops, everything related to data engineering space.
So Dinesh, let's get into our topic for today. So it's
Okay.
Microsoft Fabric. So
Yeah.
can we start with what is Microsoft Fabric?
Microsoft Fabric is nothing but one platform for data analytics and data engineering needs. So it could be a shortest definition of my own definition. So
Mhm.
what is the real benefit, or what you can get from Microsoft Fabric is it enables you to do real time analytics with no ETL or change feed between the OLTP and OLAP systems. So in that way I can define Microsoft Fabric is, and of course we'll go in deep further in this podcast as well. Yeah.
Okay. So to just tweak it into an layman terms,
Mhm.
so Microsoft Fabric, it basically allows us to capture data across places, and it tries to give us a holistic view.
Yes, yes, the main essence of Microsoft Fabric is far beyond that.
Hmm.
It allows you to save data in one place, and it allows other services to access the same data without duplicating the actual data. So that is the core essence. For example,
Okay.
you might be using different services. You in the sense, the data engineer and data analysts might be using different services to play out data, right? For example, data analysts might be using Power BI, data engineers might be using Azure Data Factory, or can say Azure SQL Data Warehouse. Like that, different tools would be there. So everybody would be having a set of copy of data, and they will be storing the result into another copy of data, right?
Exactly.
So
Yes.
whereas in this Microsoft Fabric, the architecture was redefined such that the data and compute and the service, all three were separated. So no three were tied together. So that's the core benefit or essence of Microsoft Fabric.
Okay. So I think this makes it unique from other services, which is dealing with some similar action items, right?
Yes, or in other way, I can say that how it is unique with other services, right?
Okay, so just for a straightforward comparison, could you name
Mhm.
any other, I would mean it a competitor or similar feature set that any other technology offers, like just similar to Microsoft Fabric? Is there any other tech stack as well?
Sure. So even you can say, you can take Synapse Analytics itself. It was rolled out 3 4 years back, where
Mhm.
while Synapse Analytics was rolled out, also Microsoft was telling that it is a single platform where the data engineers and the data analyst can do everything on a single tool, where the capabilities of data factory, power bi, everything will be in a single interface, user interface, right?
Yeah.
So synapse analytics is a direct example which I can see. But still, why Microsoft has to roll out another service called Microsoft Fabric, right? So that is a very big question among all the data pioneers. Like, what is the difference? Again, when I get into Fabric, I'm going to see Data Factory, I'm going to see Power BI, I'm going to see SQL Data Warehouse, I'm going to see Data Lake. What is the difference in it? All these services were available individually in Azure portal, or these services were available collectively in Synapse Analytics, right? Why Fabric is being introduced, and of course another important point is Satya Nadella has himself announced that Microsoft Fabric is one of the next big product releases after the SQL Server database in data platform. So
Okay.
I know everybody know what is SQL Server and how big the market is, right? Satya has announced that Microsoft Fabric is one of the big release like SQL Server, right?
Yeah. So Microsoft themselves are investing huge on this Fabric tech stack. Then.
Yes, yes, exactly, yes.
Okay.
So that curated me the questions that why Microsoft has to do this after all. As I told earlier, first you may notice that Fabrics looks similar to other data offerings. Fabric is actually Fabric itself is built on by Power BI and Azure Data Lake storage only, right? And it
Mhm.
includes the capabilities of Synapse Analytics, Data Factory, and Databricks, and of course machine learning. But what makes it unique is it brings all these capabilities together in a single SaaS integrated experience without the need for access to Azure resources. You get the difference?
Okay.
Whatever the service you want to create or use, Data Factory, Databricks, Data Lake storage, you have to go to portal, you have to create the service, you have to port to portal, you have to open the service, you have to use it, right?
Exactly.
But whereas in Fabric, you need not to even open portal at all, Azure portal at all, portal.azure.com, right? So you not open there,
Oh.
but
Okay.
Fabric creates as experience to use all those services directly, right?
Okay. So if you are working with Microsoft Fabric, you need not even have access to the Azure portal. Then you can directly create all those pipelines of data factories from Fabric.
Yes, exactly.
Ah. Okay.
Which in other words, there will be a
Mhm.
Fabric admin. He will be having an Azure account, and he would be creating the compute power of Fabric. So that will be the one person who would be having access to or having control to the Azure portal. He'll be going into Azure portal and setting up that compute is called as capacity unit. Okay, so
Okay.
he will be setting the capacity unit of Fabric, and that's it. All other users who are data engineers or data analysts, they just need to get into Fabric environment and play over the services. So that is why Fabric calls all of them as experience instead of services, right? So let me
Okay.
also tell you as a simple example.
Mhm.
Earlier, I mean 15, 20 years back, if if my father wants to listen to a song, there will be a tape recorder and there will be a cassette, right? So he
Yeah.
has to insert the cassette into the tape recorder, or even you can take a DVD CD example as well. Both are same. So one has to insert the cassette into the tape recorder and has to play the song, right? If he want to change the song, he has to remove the tape recorder and he has to insert another tape record. Sorry, another cassette, right? Whereas
Correct.
now, how are you hearing the songs?
Spotify, just cloud
Exactly.
apps.
So we just go to Spotify, search for the song we need, we just click play button. We don't even care where that song is stored, how
Exactly.
how the song is being retrieved when I click play button, how it remembers my favorite song which is played 1 month back when I log in today, right?
Okay.
So that is the experience we call it as SaaS, right? Even in
Exactly.
Facebook, or any tool you take, the SaaS is coming up to a great extent, right?
True.
So Microsoft has really thought that why can't SaaS kind of experience need to be given for the data engineers and data analysts? So they thought it differently, right? So I think this is the kind of experience which Windows operating system has created 20-25 years back, right? Earlier, a computer and an operating system and all those things were too technical, where only engineers were able to operate the computer itself, right? Whereas
Correct.
Windows operating system has broken that barrier, and any business user was able to, like open a computer, do some create some application, or create a Word document, and totally the world has changed from that angle, right?
Correct, Dinesh. Yeah, exactly.
This development experience being provided as a SaaS is the unique difference provided by Microsoft Fabric, to be in short.
Really gives us a big difference of what is Microsoft Fabric, or how does Microsoft Fabric outstand other tech stack with similar categories. Yeah. So when talking about Microsoft Fabric, we should also touch about One Lake, right? So what is One Lake?
Yeah. So of course. So I have spoken about different experiences, right? The data
Mhm.
engineer, data analyst, and a SQL developer. Each of them would be operating on different services behind the screen, right? But for all those services, data has to be in one place so that they can access data from that place in their respective service, right? So
Exactly.
another major difference, or as an architecture change, what Microsoft has did is they have changed all the engines of services. What I mean services is data factory, data bricks, data warehouse, are the services. The engine of those services has been tweaked to
Mhm.
operate over data in delta format. Okay, so since
Yeah.
all the services were able to operate over same format of data, that is delta format of data, there can be only one copy of data which can reside in one place, which is nothing but one lake, right? And all
Mhm.
the services can access to that one lake and operate on that. So there is no duplication of data between the services. It will be one copy of data
Mhm.
which is being analyzed, which is be let us consider sales data. Okay, a
Mhm.
Power BI data analyst need to create a dashboard in Power BI, whereas a data scientist need to access those files to train his ML model, right?
Yeah.
So earlier, the Power BI person will be connecting to a data lake, fetch those data and put it in his Power BI's memory,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And likewise, the data scientist will probably have the access to data lake directly, or sometimes have a copy of the data and put it somewhere to train his ML model, right? So whereas in this scenario, one lake acts as the heart of Fabric. With it,
Mhm.
it comes with the ability to store all the data in one place as delta format. So this is really a positive step forward for Microsoft, that has enabled a lot of opportunities. One lake is at the heart of Fabric. Okay, so it acts as a basement of different services, and it comes with the ability to store all the data in one place as delta format, right? So
Mhm.
this really provides a positive step forward for different services being used by data engineers and data analysts to access over same single copy of data, right, without duplicating in different places. And of course, enterprises have this pain point of data duplication, consistency missing, integrity missing, and all those stuff.
So you mentioned that OnLake is a more of a heart for data, Microsoft Fabric, right? So it
Yeah.
pulls data from multiple places and puts all them into an centralized place where other services can subscribe to it,
Yes.
right? So is there any limitations on only these set of data can be retrieved and stored in one lake, or is there like no restrictions on it?
So
Say I understand that we can pull data from data factories and we can pull data from Power BIs. Like, is there any restrictions on only these from these services we can pull the data, or only to this services we can subscribe the data?
as of now, you can upload the most used data formats like CSV,
Mhm.
Parquet file formats into one lake, right? And with respect to accessing services, as I told earlier, data factory, data warehouse, data bricks, and machine learning, all these services are capable of accessing it. But what is the
Okay.
real challenge behind this? A lot of production systems are operating over existing databases like Azure SQL database, which is where predominantly many places it has been using. Support to those services are in the pipeline of Fabric. Soon it can be expected.
Perfect. So, how long this Microsoft Fabric is into this? Just when did Microsoft Fabric, or when was Microsoft Fabric launched?
Yeah, so Microsoft Fabric was launched a couple of months back. I think it's around March, I think.
Okay.
And currently it is in private preview. It is not it moved to public so far. It is in
Mhm.
private preview, and people are exploring it. So soon it can be expected to be public in another quarter or so. So that's what the announcement is all about so far.
Okay. So, with this preview version, does everyone get access to it, or is just a limited set of audience?
No. So even you don't need an Azure account to get started with Microsoft Fabric. So
Mhm.
basically, it has to be enabled by your organization. For example, if you are
Okay.
in your company, if you are having Microsoft Suite, for example, you would be having a username at outlook.com as your email id, or username at at a company name.com, right? So you'll be having some Microsoft Office 365, if your company is having Office 365 plan. So it's all about the organization has to allow people to spin up the trial version of Fabric. So that's the only thing which is needed. And once
Okay.
it is allowed, any user with the Microsoft account, they can log into Power BI. And in the once they log into Power BI, it will directly show you an option that can Fabric trial can be enabled. So once
Okay.
that is enabled, you would be able to see the experience. So like data warehouse, data engineering, data analyst, like that you will be seeing as experience instead of services.
Okay.
And of course
Makes
the
sense.
trial is extended by Microsoft till October of 2023 as of now. Maybe they might extend it, or they might roll it out as a public version soon.
So I think you will be eagerly waiting for the public launch, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Yeah. So once I get access to this Microsoft Fabric, I get
Hmm.
instant access to one lake, or is it an additional service that you need to add on?
Nothing. So yeah, again let me just touch upon the one lake.
Mhm.
So before our generation, the file sharing itself was a tedious thing, right? But now we have access to OneDrive, right?
Mm.
In OneDrive, we upload all our files, right? And if it is a doc file, we will be able to open it in Microsoft Word. If it is a PPT file, we will be able to open it in PowerPoint, right? You
Yeah.
can imagine the same experience, like how OneDrive is a common storage layer for Office 365.
Hmm.
You can imagine one lake as a common storage layer for all the services, all the data engineering services, I mean.
Okay.
Okay, so when you just open up when you just got sign up into Fabric, it is all about, you just need to in OneDrive, what we've been doing, we'll be creating a folder and start uploading the files, right?
Yeah.
Likewise, in one lake, you just need to create a workspace, upload your data, let's say a CSV data or something, whatever you have, or you can initiate a simple pipeline with the data factory to store the data into that one lake. That's it. And you can directly create report over the data and share it with any of the person you need. So it is all about creating a workspace, adding the data, creating a report.
Then I have a question here, Dinesh. So you said the data lake stores all of these, and we can operate on this data to create reports, right? And you also mentioned that when you have to get access to Microsoft Fabric, it's an service within Power BI, right? I'm a little bit confused. Like, so what's the difference between creating analysis with Power BI and doing it with Microsoft Fabric or with the data lake? Sorry, the one lake.
Great. That's a really a good question. So I'll come on that. Let's consider you have a SQL database, okay,
Mhm.
and you have Power BI. So
Okay.
there is a mode of connection called direct query mode in Power BI, right? What
Mhm.
it will do is it will the Power BI reports will directly submit the SQL queries to the database, fetch the data, and show it in the report. So that's why it is called as direct query.
Mhm.
Power
Yeah.
BI will not store the data, whereas it submits the query to the database directly and fetch the result.
Mm.
Okay, so this is slow, but you will get real time access. Real time is the advantage, slow is the disadvantage. Okay,
Yeah. Mm.
and second thing is import mode. Import is nothing but you will connect to the database, you will import those data into your Power BI server, and the Power BI reports will access to the imported data.
Okay. So it will be much faster.
Yeah, of course. So the advantage is the reports will be faster, but you will not be having real time data that actually sits in the database. Again, you have to do the import. Okay,
Correct.
so these two are the existing two ways of reporting using Power BI.
Mhm.
Okay, now let's come to Fabric's Power BI. Okay,
Mm.
in Fabric's Power BI, when you are querying over data that is present in one lake, it will be a direct access. The Power BI report will directly query over the data present in one lake, so it
Mhm.
becomes real time. And since it is accessing over the delta format data, the processing and the results also will get very faster.
Okay. So what is this delta format?
Yeah, I'll come on that.
Hmm.
Yeah, so simply say the Power BI in Fabric, while querying over one lake, it directly access the data as delta tables. So it is faster and real time. So it
Hmm.
fetches both the advantages of the older version of reporting.
Exactly. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. Now let me jump on to the delta table.
Hmm.
Okay, so we just need to step down and little bit thinking a bit more about in a technical angle. Okay, so okay, one lake is fine, services is fine, everything is okay. How the data gets stored into one lake, is there any difference? So that's where this delta table comes into the picture. Okay,
Okay.
so yeah, so before delta table, let me tell two other factors. Okay, so
Hmm.
I hope most of you know about the parquet file format, right? So most of them who are dealing with analytics, they will definitely have used parquet or have came across parquet. So
Hmm.
parquet is an open source file format with columnar storage as its pattern, right? And let me tell another terminology also, delta lake. Okay, so
Hmm.
delta lake is a open source file protocol that stores data in parquet files. Keeping them aside, now let comes to Fabric. In Fabric, if I upload a file, let's say a CSV file, okay, if I
Okay.
upload a CSV file into one lake, right, that file can be converted as a data table with a button click. No need to do anything, right? So you just need to select the CSV file, and you just need to select an option like convert to data table. That's all.
Okay.
But behind the screen, what happens is the underlying structure, the underlying data will be same, but on top of that, a metadata layer will be created
Hmm.
for Delta Lake file protocol. Okay, over the actual CSV data, which will be in delta format. Okay, so simply say what is a delta table means. In one lake there will be CSV file as raw data. There will be there will be delta table, which is nothing but a metadata on top of that raw CSV data. Why Power BI is faster is it will be querying over the delta table, which is already fine tuned for as columnar storage, which is the base for any analytics, any faster analytics. So that is why it is
Okay.
faster.
So all of this is automatically done just in a click of a button.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
Okay. So, but in legacy SQL databases, we need to create indexes, and for faster performance or optimization, we'll be creating indexes and stuff like that, right? So all of this is handled automatically when we use this Power BI with Microsoft Fabric.
So if we want to touch on that angle, why we create indexes is over SQL database, which is an OLTP database, the transactional databases.
Mm-hmm.
We would need specific columns to be retrieved so faster. That is the reason,
Exactly. Yeah.
right? So here the file format itself changes. Azure SQL database stores data in row format,
Mm-hmm.
whereas parquet file format and the delta table, they access over the data that is stored in columnar format. Okay, so that is why the analysis, the aggregation happens so faster without
Mm-hmm.
even the need of index in case of
Okay.
this site, that one lake.
Great. Yeah. So it's a lot of terminologies and a lot of things to adapt, Dinesh.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
I
It's
understand
just
that
been
this.
into the market like only for 2 months, but it's really doing wonders, right? I can see the potential of Microsoft Fabric in upcoming years. It's going to be really huge. Yeah, as you said.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So of
So
course,
we have.
everybody, everyone is excited about the updates in OpenAI and artificial
Mhm.
intelligence and all those things, but this is totally different. And of course, such a kind of data engineering basement is going to act on top of that. On top of that, only this AI capabilities are going to come. So always the basement will not be visible, but only the
Mhm.
building will be visible. So AI is the building, basement is fabric
Fabric.
in
Yeah.
other way.
Yeah, if someone wants to try out this Microsoft Fabric, they really need to have a Microsoft Suite account, and they should get it enabled for the Suite account, right?
Yes, of course. And if they don't have, of course, they can sign up a trial for Microsoft Office 365 E3
Mm.
or a higher version. And
Mhm.
once they sign up for trial, they just need to go into the Power BI login app.powerbi.com, and they just need to enable Fabric. That's all.
Okay. Perfect. So I think it will be very much helpful for the audience, Dinesh. Yeah, it's a new tech stack, right? Are there available materials? Like, is there enough materials in the market or in the net for any users to get started with Microsoft Fabric, or still it's just trial and error. The user needs to try it out and gain their experience.
If you get into Microsoft, learn.microsoft.com, there is a course and for Microsoft Fabric. So it covers from why Microsoft Fabric, and it covers each and every experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I told us, data engineering, data analytics, data scientist, all those experience with sample data. You just need to follow the tutorial, and you'll be finally getting a batch. And that is far rich resource, which I could say,
Mm-hmm.
to get hands on Fabric. And of course, you can also try on your own data, move further.
I think we are ending to the end of this podcast. So
Mhm.
Dinesh, so since you have about like 10 years of experience in this data analytics space, what would
Mhm.
be your suggestions for the young buddies who's just looking to build their careers in this data platforms?
Sure, that is again a good question. Again, if we see, since this artificial intelligence is being over every conversation, every product, every news, it is over all the places.
Mm.
Many people are adopting to learn AI and practice AI. That is totally fine. Whereas you also have the other side, which is demanding and challenging as well. So which is the data engineering space. So as young buddies, I recommend you all to try on this data engineering side as well, to explore on this data engineering as well. So what is
Okay.
data engineering? What is how it is different from data analytics or data scientist, right? So what are the services that lies behind data engineering? If you want to try or if you want to learn AI, it is you have a lot of materials. You can simply try on create a notebook in a cloud version and try on Python and create some magics. But whereas data engineering, it's a little bit different. You have to understand Python. You have to understand why it is called as engineering. You have to understand about creating pipeline. You have to understand about different databases and all those things. But I can recommend you this. It will also be a challenging thing, and of course a demanding thing.
That's really good advice. I think it would help young buddies to kickstart their journey. So, any additional tips or tricks that you would like to share?
Having all data in one place might look a common thing,
Mhm.
because earlier data lake was there, and other cloud providers, they provide no, similar thing, right? Amazon has S3, Google has Google storage, where you can have data in one place and access in different services. But if you get down deep down into why this Microsoft Fabric is created, you will see the difference. So whereas so far the data and compute was separated, but the service was tied with the service was tied up, right? So with one service, within one service, data and compute would be separated, but the service will not be separated. Whereas in Fabric, data is separate, compute is separate, service is separate. So there is one compute layer where different services can consume the resource. There is one data layer where different services can consume, right?
Mm.
So, there is no separate compute need to be triggered for each service. For example, for Spark, you need to create cluster. For data warehouse, you need to create deploy data warehouse unit. For data factory, you need to deploy DCU. Likewise, you need to manage different compute environments. But with Fabric, it is not. So it's going to be one compute layer, one data layer, different services. So it is an interesting thing. I recommend you all to go deep dive and learn more. Yeah.
Definitely, Dinesh. Yeah. So I really appreciate you taking your time and sharing all of your experiences and knowledge to us, Dinesh. That really help. I think that really helps everyone to kickstart their journey with this Microsoft Fabric.
Sure, I'm happy as well, and thanks a lot for providing me this opportunity for the Koei.co and the Services 360.
Yeah. Thank you, Dinesh. Thank you, everyone. Let's connect back with some more interesting sessions. Thank you.
Cove.co